Hello, my name is Ben Powell. I'm a vice president at CH Powell Company, and I'm joined by Geoff Powell, who is the president of CH Powell Company and also the chair of the NCBFAA Transportation Committee and a senior counselor to the NCBFAA as well. Good morning, Geoff.
Morning, Ben. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good.
Thanks for being here. And today we're focusing on September 27th, 2023, on the impending partial government shutdown that, as of this morning, checking the AP, is still hanging in the balance and up in the air. And we want to talk about the potential impacts on trade flow and logistics flow if an agreement is not met prior to the September 30th deadline. And so, Geoff, again, thanks for being with us today. And we want to start with just a broad operational question. We're looking at what could be the fourth partial government shutdown in a decade. And if there is a shutdown from an operational perspective, what would stop moving and what would keep moving in terms of customs and government agency operations and general trade flows?
Yeah, a great question. And, just a little misnomer that the government is not shutting down. There is going to be a lapse in funding, which means the employees of the federal government will not be paid. And therefore, under law, the federal government has to determine which employees would be exempted from that law and be able to continue their work for protection of life, property, and whatnot. So there still will be operations going on. And I think the impact and the thinking is that there very well may be a lapse in funding come September 30th. We saw 5 years ago the impact that it had on trade, and I think we learned a lot from that. So the longer it goes, I think the greater impact that it's going to have on the trade. One of the good things is that the industry has become more automated over the last few years. Digitalization has really increased. So a lot of what we do now is electronic and not in the old paper environment. But from a CBP perspective, cargo processing and inspections and operations will continue at the ports. All of the CBP officers who conduct inspections, release cargo, are exempted employees, and they will continue to do their job. Where we have concern is, and where we ran into some issues with it, is with some of the other partner government agencies. As you may know, there could be 47 different government agencies involved in the import or export of cargo. And the exemption, it varies from agency to agency. There are 8 government agencies on the import side that have hold authority, that they themselves can hold a shipment. And we've reached out to them to find out, are their employees exempted? So the examination of foodstuffs coming in, of milk and fish and this type of thing, that will continue. So from an operational perspective, a lot of those government agencies are going to continue working. They're going to be exempted. We're still gathering that information, and we're going to be presenting that to all of our members.
Great, thank you, Geoff. So it certainly sounds as if the core operations, will continue with some more peripheral impacts potentially. Amidst that landscape, then, can you point to any specific risks or primary risks, that would be posed to the international supply chain and trade flow?
Yeah, so communication is going to be key. Between the government and the customs brokers, freight forwarders, and the importing community as to what exactly is going on. There are going to be delays, applying for licenses or applying for rulings and this type of thing is going to take some time. So folks have to be prepared for that. With not all government agencies, maybe being exempted, there will be delays with cargo, and they could build up and be held at the terminal. causing delays, causing additional demurrage and detention on those. And then again, as things move further, we could see a resource allocation issue within some of the agencies. They're going to have to be multitasking in many things. We see the immigration issue going on at the southern border right now, which has caused approximately 350 officers to move from their ports and terminals down to the southern border to address that. So when you start moving around these resources, and it is going to impact trade. But again, due to automation and working in the automated commercial environment, or ACE, has allowed us to automate a lot of this. So hopefully it's going to have a minimal impact as much as possible.
Geoff, what actions have been taken by CH Powell Company and the freight forwarding and customs brokerage industry as a whole, to mitigate the potential risks that you've just talked through, to position trade to continue as expeditiously and efficiently as possible in the event of a partial shutdown?
So as you know, CH Powell Company has been heavily involved with the National Customs Brokers and Forwarders Association, or the NCBFAA, for many, many years. And being on the transportation committee, I have responsibility for working with some of the export government agencies. And what the NCBFAA has done we've got three main committees: the Customs Committee, the Regulatory Agency Committee, and the Transportation Committee. And each one of us has reached out to each one of those agencies that we work with on a daily basis to find out what their exempted status is going to be, what their plans are, what staff are going to be available. And we're compiling this list to find out, one, to identify where the holes are, to notify, so we can notify our members, but also provide contact information. The NCBFAA has also taken the leadership role in reaching out to other trade associations and putting together a statement to U.S. Customs and Border Protection on what exactly is going to happen if this lapse in funding occurs. We've requested, like they did 5 years ago, a war room where there is a place that is, all the CBP senior leadership are there and talking about the issues that are coming up and being able to address those. Who should be in that war room? Is it all the participating government agencies so they can communicate, amongst the silos to make sure there's proper things going on? Also, the communication is going to be key, not just with, within each agency, but if we look at CBP headquarters and all the various ports, there's got to be a great communication flow up and down, but also between the various government agencies and what exactly is going on. So the NCBFAA has been spearheading this, and we're going to, we're still waiting to hear back from many of the government agencies. I just saw that there's going to be a seminar, a webinar that the NCBFAA is putting on to go through the findings that we've collated over the last couple of days. And we've also requested CBP, like they did 5 years ago, to get a daily briefing to the trade. It's important to hear directly from CBP and the government agencies what's going on, and for them to get the feedback on what they're seeing, so if there's any action items that they can take.
Geoff, you've covered and touched on some of the key potential operational impacts as well as the risks, communication being a key item. Also, some specificity from a commodity perspective as well, with the various PGA implications that could be in the picture as well. You mentioned potential cascading effects of delays or backlogs as resources would be shifted. Be that personnel, be that processing of cargo at the ports. So against that backdrop, what steps can importers and exporters take to prepare for and effectively navigate the challenges that would be presented were a partial government shutdown to take place?
I would say, just keep close communication with your customs broker and freight forwarder is exactly what's going on. with your shipments, what's going on, if there are any potential issues, and how you as the importer or exporter can assist in that regard. Just in case, there are resource issues at the various government agencies where we need to add folks to contact them. Look for and listen to the trade updates from the various government agencies. CBP, as I said, did that 5 years ago, and it was very, very good. They did a great job in that, and we can bring in more government, the other government agencies to address the trade and what's going on, and provide feedback so they can address the hot spots, if you will. But also, again, as the longer that it goes, just remember compliance on the compliance side of it. We're not quite sure, whether post-summary corrections and protests and things like that are going to be allowed, or the staff will be there at CBP to address these particular things. So just make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, after this is over, to make sure that we just double check everything to make sure everything was released, everything was properly classified, and we don't expedite things at the risk of, compliance errors.
Yeah, that's a great point, Geoff, is consideration of activities in the moment, but also for any activities that are postponed, making sure that loops are fully closed on the back end, particularly around compliance, record keeping, etc.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to take a close look at these shipments that are being released, because again, the government, the federal government, all the participating government agencies are there to facilitate trade, and they're going to want to move things quickly. And so there is going to be a reliance on us and the importers to make sure that all the compliance things are done. I don't think they're going to, increase their assumption that it is being done, but we just want to make sure to close the loop on that and make sure that everything's done properly. Doing a post-shipment audit, if you will, afterwards.
Right. Geoff, thanks so much for sharing your time and your insight here this morning. As we approach September 30th, we're of course hopeful that Congress will find a solution and a path forward to avert a partial government shutdown. But as you mentioned, communication is critical across organizations, of course, with CBP and the PGAs, and with forwarders and brokers and the import and export community. So we will look forward to continue to tracking this item and keeping clients and partners advised on progress and implications in the days ahead. Thanks so much, Geoff.
Thank you, Ben.